Hey guys, I'm D-Pad Danny. You know, the NES has a lot of childhood memories for me. In some games I can just pop in or hear the opening title theme and go, oh yeah. Perhaps one of the quirkiest and obscure of these is A Boy and His Blob, Trouble on Blobalonia.
What can I say about this one? Well, a lot actually. Basically, it's about a blob that crash lands on Earth while escaping his home planet of Blobalonia. It's been taken over by an evil emperor. Shortly after, he befriends a young boy and they set off on an adventure to save the day, which involves running around and getting treasure underground. Yeah, you gotta get enough treasure to get the shop on your street to open up. I didn't know this as a kid though. Usually after dying a few times, I'd just turn the blob into a rocket and fly straight to Blobalonia to die again there. Oh yeah, the main mechanic of the game. Apparently the blob has a taste for jelly beans.
Can't blame him there.
These beans can magically transform the blob into different things to assist in different situations. Most of the transformations are alliteration or a play on words. For example, the punch jelly bean turns him into a hole. There's also the root beer rocket, and the licorice ladder. The shop I mentioned before will sell you extra vitamins that you can use in a blaster later on in the game. As much as the game speaks to my inner child, I was never any good at it, and not much has changed. I'm pretty terrible at this game. Despite the simple concept and the help you get from the blob, this game comes with a pretty hefty difficulty level. The music is absolutely classic, and you can't deny the overall quirkiness. The whole thing came from the mind of David Crane, who made Pitfall and a bunch of other stuff for Activision in the late 70s and 80s before siding with his buddy Gary Kitchen at Absolute Entertainment.
There was a sequel made for the Game Boy. I don't really have any history with it, but we're going to take a look at this one too.
The Rescue of Princess Blobette. Huh, Blobalonia, Blobette. What's the next one gonna be? Blobuigi? Blobby Hill? Anyway, this one's pretty much more of the same. You know, use the jelly beans to turn the blob into different things to aid you in your journey to save the princess, who's right freaking there at the beginning. How about you just grab the cage and be out? There's not much to talk about with this one. The beans are pretty much the same other than maybe a few differences. If you can believe it, I'm even worse at this one. I can't get anywhere. I don't know, this one's probably not that bad, but I just can't really seem to make progress. There were 2 more games planned, one for the Game Boy Advance and one for the DS, but ultimately both were scrapped, and it seemed the Boy and His Blob's journey had fizzled out for good. Until 2009 when new life was breathed into the series with a reimagined version. Right away you'll notice the visuals are a huge step up and it gives the game so much more character. The story is the same as the original. It's about a blob that crash lands on Earth while escaping his home planet of Blobalonia that's been taken over by an evil emperor. He befriends a young boy and they set off on an adventure to save the day. The central mechanic of the game still revolves around using jelly beans to change the blob into various objects. Let's go into some more detail on these transformations, just for fun.
Tangerine, trampoline for reaching high spots. Licorice ladder does kinda the same thing. Applejack to lift stuff. Ruby rocket fly up. Punch hole to go down. Berry bouncer all around. Strawberry shield to block the shots. Coconut is a coconut. Pear opens a parachute. A cream cannon that you can't shoot. A cream cannon that you can't shoot.
The format here is completely different as well. In the first 2 games, it's a semi-open area solving problems and collecting treasure. Now it's individual levels with checkpoints. Yes, it's inherently easier, and trust me, that's pretty welcomed. There's still some solid challenge to the game though, as some stages will take you multiple tries. The boy is a squishy and dies from falling from too high of a distance, or landing on spikes, or falling into holes, or drowning, or touching an enemy. Yeah, the enemies are these little black blob guys. They come in different types. You got these little dudes that just kind of walk back and forth, some roly guys, these big dudes that you just kind of have to work around, and both stationary and moving spike things. The treasures are still here, but with the levels being smaller, there's only 3 in each area. These aren't just here for the hell of it, though. Collecting all 3 in a single stage will unlock a collectible. These are showcased in your hideout and look really neat, like tokens of your travels. Each one represents a special challenge stage where you'll really have to use your wits to figure out what to do. It also adds a sense of collection and replayability to the game, to see if you can collect all the treasures. After each stage, you'll go back to the hideout, so you can replay a stage as many times as you want. There's 40 stages, with an additional 40 challenge stages.
That's over 79 stages.
A few much needed quality of life changes were added to this version. Other than giving the game smaller segmented stages, is the fact that they only give you a select amount of jelly beans for each area. The first two games just give you a bunch of different kinds from the beginning, and you don't even know where to start. These beans are unlimited. Again, referring to the first two games, you have a certain amount of stock for each flavor bean, but here you can use as many as you need. This allows for experimenting and a lot of trial and error. It's much easier aiming where you want the jelly bean to go. The game will show you a trail of where the expected trajectory is before you throw it. This helps you be precise when you need it, so if you don't get the bean to where you want it to go, it's really kind of your own fault. Of course, sometimes there's a bird that swoops in and eats your beans as you throw them. Wow, that's kind of annoying. The controls are pretty good. The boy can only jump so high, but I guess that's an improvement over the original where you can't jump at all. The coolest thing about the controls is, are you ready for this? There's a dedicated hug button. That's right, press up on the D-pad and you'll snuggle your blob buddy. Oh my god, this is so freaking adorable. The music is pretty fun here with some original stuff as well as a great cover of the original music from the NES game. Every 10 stages there's a boss. Yeah, that's another new thing, bosses. These encounters are fun and require to use the allotted jelly beans in a quick and logical fashion. You'll probably die a lot, I know I did. But that's okay, again you have unlimited continues, so keep at it. After a while you'll get the pattern down and you'll be able to take them out. Ironically, the second boss was the hardest for me. I died so many times before I figured out how to do it and was able to execute it correctly. Throughout the game, you'll travel to different areas. First you'll start off in the forest where you meet the Blob, then you'll travel to the underground below the city. After that you'll rocket to Blobalonia. Huh, this seems way more colorful than the last time. Finally, you'll begin your onslaught on the evil Emperor's palace. Oh man, there's been some challenge in previous stages, but these areas will really test your puzzle platforming skills. As soon as you enter, the Blob is kidnapped. This really makes you miss the Blob. The fact that you have this mechanic the entire game and then it's taken from you and you have to fend for yourself, it's a creative way to provide a sense of almost helplessness. You get him back at the end of the stage though. Hooray! After many challenges, you'll finally make it to the Emperor. He's a tough SOB, but after a while, like all the other bosses, you'll be able to figure out the pattern and send him packing. But it's not over yet. After the big battle, you and the Blob travel back to Earth chasing the Emperor. Not sure why he fled to Earth, but... Oh no, Blob! Holy crap, in the final few stages you unlock the Blob's ultimate transformation, Raspberry Robot. Oh man, this thing is awesome. Feel my wrath. You can really just breeze through these last couple levels pretty easily, since you can just punch everything. Or if you prefer, you can stomp on them. Now it's time to put the Emperor in his place, who's now showing his true evil form. He'll shoot these balls of light at you that you need to punch back at him to get him all woozy. Then you punch the crap out of his stupid face! Do this 3 times and you finally won. The Blobalonians can at long last live in peace. The boy and his Blob have a heartfelt goodbye, but at least you know that you've rescued him and his species from tyranny. After watching him disappear into the night sky, you know your adventure is over. I had a lot of fun with this game, and they did the original concept great justice here. Everything looks great, feels great, and holds just the right amount of challenge. I wish more classic games would get this kind of treatment. I would suggest this one to anyone who's looking for a fun Wii title they might not know about, regardless of if they're familiar with the original or not.
Well guys, that is A Boy and His Blob. It's a super fun and charming game, and it's just adorable, and I enjoyed showing it to you. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm D-Pad Danny. I'll see you next time. I think I need more jelly beans.